Okay, here's the garden that's out in front of our house. And we've got a pretty good stand of everything on it. This row, the first row that's kind of small, is our yellow squash. It didn't come up really well, but we've got enough to do us a bunch of squash. And then the next 4 rows are field corn. And I will be scraping that off the cob for cream style corn. And then we have 5 rows of green beans, and I just get contenders. And then the first row over here, that's the tallest, is my sunflowers. So when they finish growing and start blooming, when you're looking at our house from the road, it's a wall of sunflowers all down there, and then the garden's on the other side. See that big pile of dark stuff? That's mushroom compost that Troy went and picked up, and that's what we work into all of our garden soil when we plant, whether it's in a pot or in the ground, and it makes such a difference. Now I'm going to take y'all around to the back and show you my tomato plants. I have blossoms on some of them. I'm excited. Well, I thought I'd give y'all a look. My rosemary is looking great, and this lemon balm froze back, and look how beautiful it's come out now for the spring. Then that's garlic chives, and then just vincas that I have every year here. But I was so proud of my lemon balm for coming back like that. Then I have my lemon verbena, and it's put on a lot of new leaves, and I'm real glad of it. I was afraid it wasn't going to come back good, but it did. I'm just going to give y'all a quick little go around where I step out the back door. I've already showed you all of this, but I thought somebody might not have seen the last one, so I'll show you. My sage has grown. It's getting a lot taller. The dill is a whole lot bigger. My pineapple sage, the big one with the little hat in it, oh, it's grown so much, and I just love it. It has a neat flavor. My thyme, I have the big pot of regular thyme and lemon thyme. Petunias are doing good in the hanging basket. And then I have just some flowers in some pots for color. Oregano is growing. You know, it'll take over if you put it in the ground, so I learned the hard way, so I'm keeping it in the pot. And I have cilantro. It's trying to bolt. I've got to cut it back. Citronella plants, I'm not sure how much good they do, but I sure do pinch them when I'm sitting over in the sitting area to try to release their fragrance to keep the mosquitoes off me. I did have some things planted in there, but my chickens come and scratch, so I just gave up on that. This is lavender, another dill plant. And in my big feet, I have some mint and some lemongrass. But I wanted to show y'all the tomatoes. Here's my little raised beds and pots with everything in it. So, see how much they've grown? They're so much taller. Look at this one, it's huge. And some of them are getting some blooms on them. Let me go along here. Troy got all the cages on. This one has a bloom down in there. See that little yellow bloom? This one has a cluster on it. Look in there. Oh, I'll be glad when that's tomatoes hanging on this vine. I've got some Malabar spinach that volunteered and came back up in the pot that the big tomatoes in. So I just put it over in there and let it grow till it gets a little bit bigger. I have, see, this one has gotten really big too. This is my Romanesca zucchini that I planted from seed, and it's doing really good. It was barely up the last time, I think. And then the next little raised bed over there on the very end right here is a cucumber, a bush cucumber, and it has blooms. And then I actually have little yellow squash on these 3 squash plants that I'll be picking in a day or 2. And then there's my other big tomato plants in those baskets. My parsley is doing good. My bell pepper plants aren't doing good. They're just little old bitty peewees and I don't know what's wrong with them. I have an eggplant right here, but something is enjoying eating its leaves. I've got to try to see what's wrong with it, and I like to do everything organic, and I don't really know what to use that would kill something that wouldn't be bad, so I've got to research that a little bit. See down in there, the squash? Oh, I'm so excited. These are just loaded with blooms. My friend, oh, I've got some blooms on the bush cucumber too. My friend said that her squash have blooms but no squash. So she's got male plants. I hope these all make and do well. And I've got one tomato right there in the end, and then look at that big old tomato. I got basil planted out here among the tomatoes. And then over in front of the chicken coop, I've got 12 more tomato plants in pots, big pots, and I have some African blue basil. I told you all about it. The African blue will bring the pollinators in. These were planted later, so they're not as big yet. And those nosy little chickens are coming up there to see what's going on. They were kind of lazy today. I only got 2 eggs. Now, I'm going to show y'all some of the clean out that we've done. I had a good helper. My neighbor, Joshua Atkinson, came over and helped me. Look at all, he cleaned all of the big stuff out from over here on this side of the chicken pen. Now this is just a little sneak peek into what I was telling y'all about my little hidden area back here. I've still got some work to do. But you see, straight where these trees are down in there, there's a rock path with pea gravel from one end to the other. And when you're back there, you forget the world's turning because it's like there's nobody around. You're just in a little jungle. But I've still got a little bit more cleanup to do back there. We have a gully that runs through our property, and it only gets water in it if we have a big rain. But during the storm, we had hardware cloth along there to keep the chickens in, and my other chickens. And we had a bad storm come through with tons of water, and it washed all kinds of stuff down and just tore that loose. So Troy's got to get out here and fix that somehow where the chickens can't go through, but the water can when we have a lot of rain come through. Okay, I've got holly fern and banana trees and cast iron down the back fence. This is our orange tree, and it makes the best sweet oranges. So Troy went and got a scoop of the mushroom dirt to put around, mushroom compost to put around the bottom, and that way when you water, it's like mushroom tea or compost tea. It fertilizes it and it'll give it a big boost. Okay, I'm going to do another quick little run around of my first sitting area. We've already spent a lot of time out here this summer. That's blue plumbago in the little turnaround. I have a pretty geranium basket sitting there for color, and of course our citronella plants. This just forms kind of a U shape. I wish I had the little waterfall on, but I don't. And it's just a good place to come and enjoy. And then I'll walk. See, I cleaned this bed out, and I've got my hydrangeas, and they're going to have some blooms on them. They're doing really well. Some more blue plumbago in pots that I've just set in here till I decide for sure where I want to plant it. Cleaned all of the walkway out there between the bed and the banana trees. He moved my chimenea over here. That's not where it's going to stay, but that's where it's at for now. And this is the other sitting area that has our hammocks in it. So let's walk around there and let y'all get a view of the hammocks. That's the end bed. That's where I'm going to put those 2 blue plumbagos by the welcome sign. This is fern that had just gone everywhere that I dug up and put in a pot just to have something else over here. My wind chimes. These are my hammocks, and boy howdy, the wind's been blowing and it blew all kinds of stuff. But I've always had the hammocks, you know, the crocheted looking ones with the holes in them. Let me tell you, these are fabulous. That's solid. I love them. They're my new kind of hammock that I love the most. I think I told y'all last time, all of this switch cane is taken over from one little black pot that was sitting over there that wasn't supposed to be invasive. And I don't know how to get rid of it. So if any of y'all have any ideas what to do, because we've even got some coming up on the other side of this wood fence from that switch cane. I like the border that it makes, but I don't like its invasiveness. So if you have any ideas, well, tell me down below in the comments. I have cushions for these chairs, and I had them out here, but we've been having rain off and on all day. So I decided I better take them in to preserve them. I just have little beds here and there with different things in them. This one hid among it has a big old rusty tricycle type thing. I don't know if y'all can see it or not, that holds pot plants. And here's our other hammock. And then around this tree I have a couple of different kinds of fern and hosta plants. I have a foxtail fern that needs to come back down there. It's not very big at this point. And that's a pot of hosta that I found in among the stuff out by the fence and brought it and just sat it in there. Here's the back. Now I'm going to show y'all back here where the greenhouse is, where you didn't see before. This is the gate that we drive into the back when we want to drive back here. I have a great big holly tree, and I have several that the birds have planted me some around from eating there. So I'm glad to have that. I'm going to dig them up and relocate them. Here's my windmill that the kids gave me for Christmas or Mother's Day. I must have been Mother's Day one year. It's one of my favorite gifts I've ever had. I love stuff for the yard. And Josh cleaned every bit of this out. It was just, it had just been taken over. So I'm real tickled to, I've got a little bit more weeding to do in there. That stump was a big old fat new stump, and I had plants all around it, this bed, and stuff sitting on top of it. So now I've got to try to get it out of there, and I'm just going to clean this out and let it be the rice paper plants that are there, but I'm not going to try to plant in here. I'm just going to let it be the fence. And this is my sweet almond verbena that I've told y'all about, that blooms and it smells like double mint or something. It's wonderful, and I see it's got a couple of little bitty blooms on it, so I'm real happy about that. This is my little greenhouse that's actually made from cattle panels that have been arched over, and Troy made this for me, and it's all grown up inside, but I'm going to give y'all a peep. It'll be cleaned up on the next video. That is a compost tea maker that you see in there, the blue thing, that I can make liquid fertilizer for my plants from the compost. This is the area that y'all didn't get to see a little bird bath, a waterfall bird bath, because I just wouldn't show it yet. But this is the area on the very back corner, other side of the greenhouse. My little table. My holly ferns that just love it back here in this corner. And I've got Troy's older smoker pit back here that we're gonna get out of here because it's rusted through. We've got the Primo now that we don't use this anymore, but he hadn't had time to get back here and get it out. And I love variegated ginger, and this just doesn't freeze back here. It hasn't multiplied a lot, but it's still a pretty pop of color back here. My little rocking chair. Here's lantana that the birds planted, and I like it when they do that for me. Then I have cast iron. I just planted 1 or 2 sprigs, and it is starting to multiply now, and that tickles me because I like that green background. It goes all the way down behind the greenhouse. This is 4 o'clocks that'll be blooming before too long. They're getting pretty big. I didn't get it cleaned out, but you see this little bird bath? Troy bought me 2 of those 48 years ago, right after we married. They're concrete, and they've lasted through a couple of moves, and they're still just as good as ever. No telling how many little birds have found a refuge in that little dab of water. This is a rose, and I'm telling you, I don't know what kind it is, but I got one little stick of a sprig, and I stuck it down in this little raised bed thing Troy had made me with cinder blocks, and the thing is huge now, so we got to try to get it out of here and get it into the ground somewhere. And in there with it is shrimp plant. That's not hard to grow, but I'm just tickled to death to have this rose bush do like it did. Here's my 6 little ladies. They're wanting out, but they're predicting strong winds and heavy rain, and I don't want to have to try to come back out here and get them back in the pen at dark with a flood going on, which they probably would run in anyway. They aren't hard to get back in the pen. Here's my Peggy Martin rose, and Troy has lattice cut that we're going to, not lattice, cattle panels that we're going to arch over here and get it trained on the arch. And here's looking my little garden over there at the back of the house in the sunroom. And back in there under that arch is where I do my potting. I have a potting table back there, but it's not where I want you to see it yet. We'll look at that another day. And then I'll make my circle. That's the pump house that has our water well in it. And then of course my big barrel of lemongrass. I hope y'all have enjoyed this tour. I'm just going to talk you right on back into the house here. And I'm probably not even going to get on camera today because I have been working in the yard. And I don't look too good. So I'm just going to give y'all another quick little see. This airplane plant is putting on babies. I'm proud of that. I will visit y'all again in person on Tuesday. But I just wanted you to get a little update of how everything's growing and how much better it's done. You know that's Peggy Martin Rose I'm trying to root. It don't look like it's too happy, but maybe it'll come on out. I need to cut the limbs back probably. Anyhow, I'm going to run back in and get this edited and get it uploaded. I wish my bougainvillea would bloom. I guess it takes a while because it was just sticks and it has come back. So can y'all see that brown here? That is a stump with a hole in the middle that was petrified wood that my grandson and Josh found in the woods and brought to me. I just love it. It's such a different shape and it's so pretty. Okay, y'all, I'm fixing to go inside and get this uploaded and just let y'all wander around my backyard a little bit. And I'll be back with some kind of a recipe on Tuesday for you. The good Lord bless and keep you. I hope y'all have a little spot to putter around in. It sure is peaceful. And the tomatoes sure make it worthwhile. And I'll be sharing some canning when I get into the tomatoes too. I'll be doing some salsa, spaghetti sauce, canned tomatoes. I'm not sure what else, but I know those 3 things are on the agenda. So I'm just anxiously, look y'all, get over here where I can get a picture. There's a hummer. See if I can get him up close. He'll be back in a minute. He's not going to stay away long. I see him flitting around out there. He came right up to the feeder, but because I was standing here, he ran away. Maybe he's not going to come back. Phooey. Sometimes there's 4 or 5 fighting to get there. I just love to watch them too. But I give them their distance. I do not want their beak stuck in me. All right. How many times have I said I'm signing off? I think I'll really do it this time. I'll see y'all Tuesday.